Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Speed Street. Goodness gracious. Boy, have we had a lot that has gone on. We had some news come out literally right after our podcast dropped last week. A real shame they didn't tell us that before that was going to happen, because that's the biggest news in IndyCar in a very long time, which we will get to. And we had a tremendous motor race over the weekend. Chase, my co-host here, Chase Holden. Chase, great motor race. How are you feeling after watching that? Feeling good about the way the vibes are looking heading into May, motor racing wise?
I feel like it's 1963 and I just left the tent revival in a field somewhere in the South. That's how I feel after that race. It was the most incredible IndyCar race I've watched in a long time. And you know, I'm not like most NASCAR fans out there. There's a lot of NASCAR fans out there not big on road. I'm kind of a road guy. I like road course races. So for me to have that kind of action, Barber brings that. It's a tight racing circuit, very little margin of error there. You don't want to mess up at Barber. Put it that way. And you found out why. Everybody got to see that. So I went to Barber last year, actually, I believe. So I went last year to Barber, and, you know, we enjoyed it being there. Like, you know, we sat on a nice hill, you know, had my
beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I had my wife and my kid with me. So I wasn't as hyper focused on the race as I would have liked to be. We came out and saw you and Scotty Mac before, which, by the way, can't wait to chat with him. Going to be fun.
Yes.
To the thirsty threes. He finally got quenched. But you know, getting to actually watch that race, that was really my first time watching the race on television. And man, I don't know if I'll go back, but I kind of like, wherever I go, I'm going to have a TV with me. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was, we have a ton to get to with the race. Barber put on a better show than I have ever seen. As someone who, that is not my favorite track at all. I have been open about that. But I don't know whether the pavement's just getting older or the tires that they were using this year just worked better. But it was fantastic. So we're going to get to that, but there is a ton to go over. I put out a YouTube video about the Pensky penalties. The penalties to our friends Joseph and Scott McLaughlin and Will Power as well, the whole Penske organization. We also had very tough news for David Malukas, who has been on this show before. David Malukas has been released by McLaren after not even having done a single race lap, which, man, I feel awful for that young man, that young driver. I'm to be honest, I'm not very close with David. I don't talk to him a ton, but he's a good dude, and I think he has done. He has welcomed young new fans. He's got a great personality, good meme guy, which is appreciated. But my gosh, that is painful. So we'll kind of talk about what those. How that went down potentially, and what might the future look like for David, because I don't think all hope is lost. I do believe David will be back in an IndyCar at some point. Just don't know when or where, but I don't believe his IndyCar future is done at all.
No.
And we're getting into May now as well. So we have an interview with the winner, Scott McLaughlin, and oddly enough, that is, well timed with the whole scandal that has gone on. Not scandal, but the big issue of the week, the big thing that, boy, have I got into the YouTube comments over. There's over 450 comments on my video that I posted on YouTube. We appreciate you watching on YouTube. Honestly, there's a ton of people that just discovered this show for the first time. Thankfully, YouTube has given us an opportunity to get to a new group of people, to get to folks that don't know this show before. This is we're over 120 episodes now, so welcome to the program. We appreciate you being here. But yeah, let's talk about what I think everyone wants to continue talking about, which I hope we can move on to some things eventually. But the whole Pensky situation. Now, If you don't know what happened, maybe just use the Google machine. I'm not going to go into the details again. Pensky broke the rules. If you like middle school playground jargon, yeah, they cheated, right? Like, okay, yeah, cheaters. Everyone loves to use the word cheater, and if you don't use that word, it's like, well, then you're on their side. It's like, no, we're just sophisticated adults, and I am a professional, and I'd be like, look, it's the same. Saying that they broke the rules is the exact same thing, but like, I'm going to be professional about it because I have to be, and I would like to be, but I respect the Penske organization. If you don't, which I have realized this week, that a lot of people don't like the Penske organization. Now, I don't know why. I think it's easy to hate success, of course. Like, I like seeing Red Bull win all the F1 races. I'm like, well, that's kind of annoying. Like, I wasn't a fan of Ferrari when they won 7 world championships with Michael Schumacher. I was like, oh, these guys win all the time. Like, gosh dang it. But
it's like a Bill Belichick, Tom Brady type
exactly,
of deal.
Yeah. Like, I hate the Patriots like that because they just won all the time, right?
I was going to say maybe it's the moving rates. They have moving trucks. The name is out there for a lot of folks. Maybe they don't even watch racing, and they're just like, I'd rather roll with a U-Haul,
Right? Penske's everywhere. So, but I believe when I see people react to this, there's a lot of unjustified reaction. There's a lot of things that are said before you actually think. I always tell people, maybe think 10 seconds before you put this out there. Maybe just 10 or 15. I think people got mad at me, and I wasn't even participating in the motor race. I was just trying to explain how the push-to-pass system works, and that was hilarious.
For that?
I'm still responding to YouTube comments, people like talking a bunch of smack to me, and I'm like, I don't know how I am doing something wrong here. I am not taking anyone's side. Like, I'm not out here trying to justify anything. I've said in every interview, oh man, it's wild. It's wild out here in the streets. People love to get angry. But and people don't like that I say this either, but I don't see how this was we had more chatter about this issue than our sport has had, really, other than the 500 in like a long time. So, one thing that I said to someone as well, you have to have emotion when you follow sports, right? That excitement to watch your superstar, or like I watched the Super Bowl to see the Patriots lose because I was like, I don't want them to win anymore. I don't care who they're playing. Like, I think people cheer against the Astros because they're the bad guys, right? Like, but you have to, I think part of professional sports is there's going to be people that do something wrong or that have got caught doing something that, again, is against the rules. But welcome to professional sports. Like, I saw a lot of comments that were like, well, I wouldn't watch IndyCar again because because there are people cheating there. And I said, well, if you use that logic, listen to what that means. You are no longer allowed to watch the NFL. You're no longer allowed to watch the MLB. You're no longer allowed to watch Formula One or NASCAR or anything. Yeah. Because there are people that have got in trouble for breaking rules egregiously. And again, this was an egregious break of the rules. This was like fully, you have push to pass, I don't. That's not good. So, I don't understand why these people think like, oh, IndyCar, no. It's like, dude, I can think of several other occasions. But because it's Penske and like Roger owns the series, there's this all kinds of this chatter. And again, something I want to respond to there. It's like, okay, well, I can't trust the series because Roger owns the series and his team got penalized. Well, the team got penalized like more aggressively than I've seen a team get penalized ever in my career. So, I mean, that's good, right? Like, they're held accountable. Just like everyone else should be held accountable. I don't understand. It's not like it did not get swept under the rug. It was the most public thing. They had all kinds of things being displayed. Tim Cindric's out there talking. It's always going to be messy. Like, this is going to be messy no matter what. There's no justifying it. There's no justification. The drivers are out there going to say what they believe, what they, did. Tim Cindric, I believe that they've said a lot, that they've tried to be honest with everyone. But again, we as humans have free will to like believe what we want to believe, right? Like, I want to believe that there are aliens that exist, but I have no idea. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to believe.
We're looking for them.
Exactly. I'm still looking for them. I'm watching the documentaries. But there's, there is going to be a lot of flack for this. But boy, was there a lot of chatter. Now, again, I think the ratings do come out today, and I will have to look. I hope that producer Bobby can maybe study the internet as this show is happening to see
live ratings update.
To see what happens. I would love to see a live ratings update.
Oh, me too.
Now, I know that cheating, breaking of the rules, people want to say cheating. Like, okay, calm down. All right. Yeah, they broke the rules. Okay, we get it. But people really disagree with me about this. But boy, is there a lot of chatter about IndyCar. And I know there's like any PR is good PR. Like, that's not always true, of course. But like, dude, IndyCar's trending like every day. Yeah. You have this emotion like, first of all, two of the nicest and best guys in the paddock, Scott McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden, people, it seemed like they wanted to execute them on the street. Like, wild. Like, oh, these guys, like, I wouldn't want them at my Christmas dinner. Like, I go, what are we talking about?
That's some passionate folks right there. That's the passionate ones.
Good. Like,
yeah.
You know what? I don't hate Joseph and Scott because they're two of my great friends. But boy, I love that other people are, because that means that there's passion. There's passion involved in our sport.
People are talking.
I like that. Chase, what did you think? Like, because obviously this is quite a deal. Again, we can only talk to what we know. There was facts released. There was data that was produced. To give people a quick before I let you jump in, Chase. Research was done. The problems were found. There was not any. This was found to be a St. Pete only thing. They discovered it in Long Beach in the warm up. So therefore, boom, we chopped the head of the steak off. Right. That's it. There was no evidence that, like, the IndyCar has all of our data, and guess who wants them to look at every race last year? Everyone. So I believe that IndyCar has done their job in looking into this, because they should as a series. They found it. They penalized them quickly. Although, yes, it's several months after the first race, but it was 2 days after they discovered this incident, this breaking of the rules, that they penalized them. I can't fault the series for that. So, Chase, what was your kind of initial reaction when you saw it dropping on the webs?
Well, first off, I'm glad that you were able to get a video up for the people. So that's where people can go and discuss that. It seems like they already are. I wouldn't take a lot of it to heart. A lot of those people that that don't want to trust things and that don't like rule breakers, they're usually the people watching Cops at 1:00 in the morning. So it's
I don't like rule breakers either. Like, if I was a driver at the time, see, I'm a little bit different because I wasn't racing in that race. So for me, I was just a spectator, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you find out that someone's got some juice and you don't, I would be upset about it as well. Like, a lot of drivers were vocal about it this weekend, and thank the good Lord that they were vocal about it, because I'm so glad that we had people out there just talking wild about the Penske drivers.
And I mean, for me, I'll put it to you this way. It was the morning that the news came out, I was very confused, because I'm not used to seeing something like this. And I had a lot of my followers from the NASCAR world, they're hitting me up. They're like, boy, if this happened in NASCAR, could you imagine the flack that would be coming back? And it's like, so I guess from that standpoint, I was just like, man.
And it does happen in NASCAR. Like, there are people running illegal stuff every weekend in NASCAR. Yeah.
It usually happens like right after.
Yeah.
So it's I guess it was the gap. It was the time gap, right? But it's like you said, if you find something and it's there, it's like, hey, at least you can go back and right the wrong, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know how all that worked. I'm not in there. I'm not looking at the JSONs. I'm not looking at the Excel sheets. I don't know. But I will say that was what startled me the most from the beginning. But then as the day went on and you had put a tweet out, I ended up going to make a video. I had to do it immediately because Pat McAfee was talking about IndyCar.
I know.
So Pat and the boys are talking about IndyCar. They're talking about push to pass the way that I was talking about it on this show last week.
Yeah.
So that made me feel a lot better, because I'm like, all right, it's same mind. He compared it to cruising world, doing backflips with push to pass. So
yeah, I mean, I got a text, and I'm watching the Pat McAfee show when this, and now again, there are several people who dislike that program. I don't know how, but realistically, let's be honest, it doesn't matter how you feel. It's one of the biggest sports shows in the world right now, right?
It's incredible.
Huge everywhere.
Pat's a great dude.
ESPN, Pat's got a massive following, and I watch it every day. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, he's talking about IndyCar and Pensky. And one of the producers of the show, Zito texts me. He's like, hey, is push to pass like NOS? And so I'm like, they're actually interested in learning a little bit more about this. And so, again, you can have your opinions about this, but there was more chatter about our sport than I've seen in a long time. And that, I'm sorry, is a good thing.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not. I'm not saying everyone has to cheat. Now, that's not what is true.
No, but it's drama. It's drama. Drama was
drama. Yes, this is good. This is good for us. Not all. Now, again, we don't like. Again, I want to make sure we're clear. We're not promoting any type of breaking of the rules, egregious breaking of the rules. I want to make sure that's clear. But if you don't see how all this chatter, even if it's, again, people, all these IndyCar haters, I tell you what, they don't listen to this show, but it's wild to get out there and fight for this sport. I go to war.
Feels good.
On the tweets. I go to war in the YouTube comments because all I try to do by responding to people, and I shouldn't do it because it makes me want to like jump off a bridge sometimes, but
don't do that.
I just try to like make people aware of like the reality of what they're saying, because a lot of people just comment, it's done. It's like, well, that's not real. Like, that's not like how if you say that, like, think about this logically, that it's just, I'm just trying to help people. Like, I ask questions, so I'm like, well, why do you think that? Because if you ask why, they either don't respond because they don't have a reason why they think what they think, or then you can have a constructive conversation. I had several conversations in my YouTube comments that actually ended up being like, okay, no, I get that. So there's good conversation to be had. But yeah, there was a lot that went on.
I will say, I think that the way that it was handled, Joseph, a lot of people were talking about how Joseph didn't come out and tweet anything. Like
statement?
Scott said something. You had Will Power. They put a statement out, one of those little nice statement cards, kind of like a nice letter that you would write.
Like a notes app. Like it was slightly better than a notes app.
Had a nice little logo on the bottom.
Yep.
They used the photo editing apps to make it. It was there. Joseph didn't drop one of those. Joseph waited for the presser. And boy, did he put on a presser. That's going to be one of the more memorable press conferences in IndyCar history. And the fact that this is the first time this happened in IndyCar, from what I heard on a broadcast. This was the first time this happened in the sport. So it really started making me draw some lines, Connor. And this is what I was really excited to talk with you about. I didn't mention this to you this week at all because I was like, I'm going to wait for the show to talk about this. It's really funny when you look back at the history of IndyCar and you look at how many years has gone by. Literally the oldest motorsports, body that I would say in America. It's been going on way before NASCAR started. The Indy 500 has
been going on over 100 years. Yeah, 100 years.
Exactly. So it's like, for this to be the first time that something like this has happened, in I don't know if it's modern history or if
I think it's modern history. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way it goes, like the thing that I got to was all this had happened. Great press, because people are talking about it, whether it's negative or positive. People are going to put their eyes on it because people flock to negativity. That's just how it goes, and it's the game. So what I realized though was something way more optimistic. And it made me feel even better about the future of the sport, because if this is one of those first things that have happened, if we're kind of in this modern era right now, then we're just starting to scratch the surface of this thing. Like NASCAR was going on from the 60s until the 90s, and they popped off, right? Some can argue that IndyCar never really got that shot to pop off in the 90s because of the split. Now, we're here. It's rekindled. What was 2008? Was it rekindled?
Yep, rekindled. Yeah, nice.
So, look at
Brushing
this
up
series.
On your history. I like it.
Yeah, look at this series as just starting in 2008, and look where we are right now. That's like the same level of of age as like Formula Drift, and it's just now, and it's already got a huge following, and it's starting to take off big on the West Coast and getting a little bit bigger on the East Coast too. Shout out to some of the boys over there. But I'm going to tell you, that made me feel so good about where we are now, because it's like, man, there's still a lot of history to be written. There's still a lot of eyeballs to come to this sport. We're not even at the point yet, I feel like, where it's going to just captivate the masses and possibly have the potential to become the largest form of racing in the West. So I'm optimistic about that now, way more than I was before, because not only do you have the history, but you got a rekindled series, and you got all this kind of stuff happening now. And in NASCAR, they say this, okay? I'm just going to put this out there. I've heard this many times. I'm sure you have. They say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That was so back in the 90s.
Yeah, so many people said that to me in the comments, and it's like, I think
a lot of Chad Canals chatter this past weekend.
I mean, what's funny about this as well is that IndyCar, the way the tech process is done is very thorough. They do a good job. I remember Justin Wilson won at Texas in 2012, and Justin Wilson was found to have illegal parts on his car afterwards, right? Now, he got to keep the win, but there was a financial penalty. And so, again, I didn't see anyone calling for Dale Coyne Racing to be banned from the series. That's crazy. But this has happened before. Like, winners have had things on their cars that have been illegal in IndyCar, but like, this was obviously the drivers had something to do with it as well here. But, it's not a foreign thing in motorsport, in sport. Like, if you think for some reason IndyCar is like the innocent, like, oh, there's definitely no cheating going on here. There's definitely no rules that are being pushed here.
It's one of the few places where people start ripping cigs, dude.
Like, this is not, again, it seems like, oh, well, people will immediately respond to that and be like, oh, you're encouraging, like, that's stupid. You're encouraging people to break the rules. It's like, well, no, that's not true. But like, that you will overstep the boundaries. Like, we every time before we go qualify at the Indy 500, everything is meticulously measured. You know what's illegal? Pulling the brake pads back before you make a qualifying run for less drag. And you know what everyone was doing? Pulling the brake pads back every single time before the qualifying run. I was aware of that. All the drivers know that. But like, in tech now, they've got us to where we know every team is still going to roll to tech with the brake pads pulled back. I'm sorry, that's still happening. I want to let you all know that. Everyone is trying to do that going up to an Indy 500 qualifying run. What they've done now is that when we're pushing when they're pushing our cars up to the grid, Rocket or the one of the tech guys will make us put our foot on the brakes to stop the car, right? Now, again, this is very simple, but I'm just telling you, all of this stuff is happening, and if you're uncomfortable with it, well, like, why? Like, we're just trying to push every limit that we can. And again, when you break the rules, you get penalized. So they broke the rules and they got penalized. That is how sport works, right? Like,
I don't think anybody's really upset, though. I think that it's just more of like having something to talk about.
There's a lot of people upset.
But they're probably not. They don't even know why they're upset. They're just like, it's easy
to hate Penske. They're very successful, obviously. Like, they're very, very good. They put the most money into their team. They do a good job. They hire the best. They hire their best drivers that they think they have, and we'll get to talk to one today too. Like, we usually interview our driver before the show, but we haven't done it yet. So I'm still in my mind trying to think up some questions. I do want to try to ask Scott maybe some hard questions, but realistically, to put this to bed, we could talk about this all day, but in the end, Pensky broke the rules. It was a massive, massive story. We got people studying onboards from the past. We've got, honestly, Pensky had the best opportunity to troll everyone over the weekend by just fake pressing buttons. You realize drivers could just get up there and just fake press buttons the whole time. My camera's going off like crazy because I'm using my thumbs to imitate
I
pressing
know,
buttons.
it was celebrating what you said.
Penske could have trolled everyone, and I didn't see that, but everyone's studying onboards. It's kind of crazy. So they broke the rules. I believe that Joseph not putting out a statement initially was definitely a little bit like, oh man, what is this? But he was very open and honest with people in the press conference. Let me tell you, that's hard. Boy, Joseph almost started crying. I don't think I've ever seen Joseph cry, and I've known Joseph since we were 12.
It's business, dude.
Boy, I Joseph is my friend. I don't think of him any less. I certainly, you have a lot of questions in your mind because you're like, oh man, like that's kind of wild. Like I would love to know in 10 years what was really going on. You know what I mean? Like, but we as a fan base and as me and us, we will not know all the information. We will never know. So I'm sorry, but you're not going to get all the facts. It's just like every situation in the entire world history. Who killed JFK? I don't know. You know what I mean? We're never going to get those facts probably.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. We're never going to get all of what we want, but it was a wild thing to talk about, and that's it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We put it to bed. There's a YouTube video that you can argue with everyone in the comments if you feel like. You can come after me for no reason at all.
Catch us in the comments.
Catch us in the comments. That's fine. Let us know what you think, of course.
You better not be watching Cops if you're commenting bad. All right. If I catch you watching Cops, I'm gonna call you out.
But it's okay it's okay to not be a fan of Pensky. Like that's fine. That's good. But to say that for some reason you feel like you can't watch the series anymore because of this is honestly, that's just flat out stupid.
That's
so
if
that's in your mind, if that's in your mind, think about it for a second, because you're like, maybe this is silly, and I'm just trying to help educate people.
What are they going to watch?
Anyway, yeah, I know. What are they going to watch? I mean, I'm sure
and Law and Order until the race comes on.
They're probably breaking rules in darts and polo. I don't know. Like, there's probably rule breaking there too. I don't know.
Oh yeah, dude.
So we'll see. But anyway, let's get to what was a perfect time for IndyCar to put on a fantastic show. The Barber Motorsports Park, the Grand Prix, the IndyCar race, the children's Grand Prix. I don't know what the
Georgina Grand Prix.
The Georgina Grand Prix, yeah. Man, it was a wild weekend from the get-go. People making mistakes. Joseph spinning in practice, then he's fastest. The first session back, he's fastest. He's out there laying down a statement. I'm going to ask Scott a little bit about this later, but I saw how Denny Hamlin called his shot on his show. Remember that? He's like, I'm going to win in Dover. Scott might have called his shot to me. He might have messaged me. We had a little interaction that we can talk about in the show, but Scott called his shot. Scott told me he was going to win the race.
Weekend for fans of Lil Troy. I don't know if you remember the hit song from Lil Troy, "Want to Be a Baller."
I do not remember that. No,
that's a New Orleans. It's a New Orleans thing, man. Just want to be a baller, a shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala.
There you go.
That's the lyrics.
That was
shot
both
calling.
Scott unofficially called his shot to me. He's the winner, but just a great motor race. I would say let's read through the results as we normally do. I'm gonna find the result sheet here, but overall, so impressed with qualifying. Qualifying was super tight as usual. You had drivers. I would say one conversation that I had with Alex Palou after qualifying, you saw him so fast in the first session and then did not even make the Fast Six. That was interesting, and I talked to him about it, and I'm not going to say, publicly what really happened there, because we don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But there are some things that happen sometimes, and it's out of his control. So it's a shame that I think Alex Palou probably could have fought for pole had he transferred, but he was still very, very fast. I think if also he was on the right strategy, also would have been a good fight to the win as well. So let's go through the results real quick. McLaughlin, P1, Willpower, P2. Linus Lundqvist with his first podium as a rookie. Great to see that for him. Again, played the strategic game perfectly. Felix Rosenquist finally in the top 5. Well, not finally, but he's been living in the top 10. He's been doing a great job. Alex Palou 5th, Christian Lundgaard 6th, Santino Ferrucci 7th. Great for the AJ Foyt Racing team. Santino almost hit every single person on the track, but you know what? He made it through, and I got to give him credit. Good result
Ricky
for that
Bobby
team.
shot.
Good result for that team. Colton Herta was 8th, Marcus Armstrong 9th, Kyle Kirkwood, Graham Rahal, Romain Grosjean, Jack Harvey 13th. Great for Jack. That's a huge result for that team who has struggled really all year to be even in the game, and that was great for Jack. Kiffin Simpson 14th. Again, played the right strategy there. We'll give him credit. He was kind of at the back for the most part, and then sometimes you strategize your way up.
I feel bad about this one.
Kudos. Again, I still, we all know my opinions on Kiffin Simpson. Great job to that crew. Great job to Chris Wheeler, his strategist. 15th, Scott Dixon.
I feel bad.
Wild.
I feel bad.
15th, Scott Dixon. 16th, Joseph Newgarden. 17th, Rinus VeeKay. 18th, Marcus Ericsson. Like, what a wild sentence that we just went through there. Like, that was a crazy group down there at the back. Tom Blomqvist, 19th, Augustine Canapino, Luca Giotto, which, again, this news came out after our show, but Luca Giotto, welcome to IndyCar. And then the McLaren team. Oh, man. We had Teddy Chairs. Was 22nd. Theo Porcher. Pato was 23rd. Christian Rasmussen, 24th. Really rough day for that car. Alex Rossi, 25th on 3 wheels. Stingray Robb in the wall. Apparently, he said his steering wheel broke. That's wild. And then Pietro Fittipaldi got wrecked by Pato. A lot to talk about in this race. Barber is a big-time strategy race, and the yellows fell where there could be quite a gamble either way. One strategy worked out, and the other very much did not. So you gave cars an opportunity to have a great day. The biggest thing that I took away from this race was Scott was so fast, McLaughlin, so fast. But I also want to let people know that IndyCar racing is hard. I don't know if you saw, but Pato O'Ward, who everyone thinks is, the greatest thing to happen since sliced bread, Scott Dixon, who is a GOAT, one of the GOATs, spun by himself. Not really by himself, but he had a bit of a coming together with Graham, spun off the track. Everyone at some point, I think, was off the track. Even Will Power, who finished second. There was a couple of people who got mad at me for saying, "Oh, there's too much contact out there." I was like, "What are you talking about?" There was some rubbing and racing, and drivers went off the track. But a guy who went off the track big time in the first stint literally finished second. So anything is possible in these races. I think Pato O'Ward, he got given a win this weekend, which is great. Obviously, after the Pensky penalties, Pato's a winner this year. Great for Pato. Love that. But since St. Pete, he has hit everything but the lottery. It is astounding.
What do we think about that? Because I've had a lot of people hit me up personally, and they're just like, is it time to worry? Is it time? No,
it's not time to worry.
We're the third race. But
let's not, all the people who give certain drivers a bunch of crap for no reason, but this is, drivers can go through a tough stint. I do believe that that's possible. Pato, and again, the entire country of Mexico, I'm sure will try to assassinate me. But boy, it's been a tough run for Pato. And I think he is still one of the most talented drivers on the grid. I think he's a very, very good driver. But that there's bad vibes going on in the McLaren group right now. Bad vibes. I don't know what's going on there.
You saw the Zach Brown. What are they doing?
I don't know. I mean, there must be. I do believe that we will see a resurgence at some point, right? I think they've got enough good people there, incredible people at that team to where they will.
Stressing?
This is not a consistency. No, I don't think so. But yeah, Pato 2 weekends in a row hit his teammates, hit Rossi in Long Beach, hit Theo Porcher on the last lap for 23rd place. No idea why that's even necessary. It's kind of crazy. But for me as a fan who's watching, I'm like, this is kind of awesome because you have some of the great guys that are running at the front struggling. Like, I can't wait to see them rebound. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see them at the Indy GP. Like, I can't wait to see what these guys do next. Because for me, I'm like, man, this is like, these guys got to be going through some crazy stuff in their heads. And poor Alex just had a tire fly off. Like, the McLaren team is going to be on for a big. I even took a screenshot of their results like page. I was like, oh my gosh, P22, 23, and 25. I'm like, man,
how are they doing in F1?
Solid. Lando was on the podium at the last race. Solid. They've got a great F1 organization right now.
Maybe they should put a little less focus over there. They should put a little more focus in IndyCar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Pato, boy, that was a tough one for him. I think there were two other drivers. Rinus VeeKay wiped out the entire back half of the field on the first lap. That was not good. But again, somehow rebounded. Like he took his drive-through penalty right as it went yellow. Very lucky.
Showed his talent.
Again, I think Rinus is a very good driver. But boy, both of the ECR cars, just poor Christian. Christian had a tough day again. The McLaren team, the ECR team, I mean, both of those teams are that tough days. Wild to see that though. Like there's so many good drivers in that group that I just kind of mentioned, and
a lot of their issues too were driver error though, right? It was mostly oversteer. Like, so maybe they just need to get in the gym. They need to get those forearms worked out a little bit harder.
Maybe, I don't know. There was definitely some craziness, but also, Marcus Ericsson, like he was in a lot of different battles all day, but when the day does not work out for you, it doesn't matter who you are. This is IndyCar racing sometimes. Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, Marcus Ericsson, are they bad drivers?
No,
they're not, but they had a rough day, and that can happen in our sport.
Yep.
I think there's a couple great things in the top five. Linus Lundqvist obviously played the strategy perfectly with Power McLaughlin. Christian Lundgaard, finally, a solid weekend for that team. They definitely needed some points. Colton Herta leading the points as well after this. Colton Herta leading the points. He's going to be a sneaky fox the whole season, I think. He's going to be right there.
Little Bruce Wayne,
him and Santino.
Dude.
My favorite thing about Santino trying to wreck Colton was like, absolutely not. Ain't no shot are you going to wreck me. And they fought each other really hard. But the IndyCars are tough, boy, because I saw so much contact. I mean, when you're watching that race and you're seeing these cars just go piling into each other?
I was pissed off because there wasn't more NASCAR fans watching it because I'm like, this is your race. This is your race.
Kenny Wallace is watching it. Wallace is tweeting me like, this is a great race.
Day. He's coming to the 500.
NASCAR fans, what's wrong? Like, you got your prominent NASCAR heads like are into this stuff. And now again, we clashed with NASCAR once again on the broadcast stuff, I had so many people tweet me like, sorry, I'm watching NASCAR. I'm like, that's great. But the IndyCar race started an hour before it. So I don't care what you like. You don't have to watch an hour of pre-race for your NASCAR race. You guys doing 800 of them during the year.
And you would have had a hell of a show if you'd have just watched the first hour.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was a tremendous race. Like, were there a couple moments during that race, though, when you were like, just like, oh, because for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like, heck yeah. Like, they're racing each other, which is, that's what you want to see.
So probably like there were two big moments for me, right? The first big moment was when Pato and P. Fitty got into it, and he sent him, and he got under that wing, and then I saw where like he got the wing under the tire, and it sent Pato back, and Pato ended up spinning out. So getting to watch the aerodynamics up, I'm like, oh, they getting in there, they cutting up. I like this. This is what I want to see. This is that action that I've been looking for. It's like, let's get dicey. Let's make it even harder. Let's make the stakes even higher to have who can have the most immaculate launch off of a caution, who can hit the turn sharper than anybody else can, because you know that the margin of error just got even smaller with the amount of carnage that's going down. That's where the hair on the back of my neck stands up. It's not the wrecking. It's not the total destruction. It's
because
the
there
fact
wasn't a lot of wrecking. That's
there
what
was.
Yeah.
And there are people that like that.
Not yellows.
That will lie to you.
but they were hitting each other, but they weren't wrecking anyone.
They were racing each other.
There were 2 cars that were out of the race.
Yeah,
I just want to let people know that. So
they were racing.
That's contact. Like this is a contact sport these days. I'm sorry, it is. But that was. It was just great to see, because that could have ended far worse in many other scenarios, right? There could have been a ton of full course yellows, and then it becomes like, oh, these guys are a bunch of losers.
And it wasn't like a yellow every time either.
No,
you're going to have your normal spins here and there, and the race is going to keep going. I'm sorry, but IndyCar is a little more Winston than NASCAR, in my opinion, because of some of these things. So, and I mean, if you know what that means, you know what it means. If you don't, come to my office later, I'll explain it. But I'll say this too, the other big moment was obviously when someone decided to throw a mannequin off of a balcony, and they threw Georgina, is her name, down. They threw this, I guess a little like Taylor Swift. I don't know. Somebody
now it's not
that.
thrown. So let me give you a little history on Georgina. Georgina's just been hanging there.
Okay.
She's just been hanging there
How
for
long?
years. As long as I've been racing there, a long time. So they've hung this mannequin woman from this bridge, and that was a big story of the race. It fell off in the middle of the race. First of all, if that had caused a yellow, that would have been a very bad story for IndyCar. So let's maybe not hang mannequins over the track in the future. Like, I love Barber's creativity and their arts.
It's what everybody's talking about, though.
I know, but because it didn't end up causing a big problem.
NASCAR has
yellow
cats.
Soon after.
They have like cats and squirrels that they call cautions for. Reindeer.
That's true. Yep. Reindeer.
Yeah. All kinds
but
of shit.
Georgina, that was still one of the funniest things ever. That made it on clip, like Twitter clips, like people like all over the internet got this. It made sports shows. So again, is this big marketing finally at work? Are we finally out here doing great work? I don't know. But there was so much to talk about from that race. I had a couple other notes here too. So Georgina, that was hysterical. I love that Pietro Fittipaldi actually put up the clip, because he was that first car that got there, and he on the radio was like, "What the F was that? The lady just fell from the balcony."
He broke her hand? Was he the one that broke her hand?
No, he wasn't the one. It was Luca Giotto who broke the hand, but he was the first one to see Georgina falling. So
dang,
wild.
Dude, what was going through his head in that moment if he forgot that was hanging there?
Well, the funny thing is Pietro wasn't even in the race either, right? Like he had already been wrecked, so he's just out there cruising, trying to hope that other people crash. And he's like, "What in the world just happened?" You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
It was great though.
Oh, it was funny. I mean, that race it had a bit of everything: wheel to wheel, door banging, and we don't even have doors.
Keep Barber weird, dude. I love it.
Yeah, and some just motor racing that I believe personifies IndyCar. Like, I put out a tweet that I really hope, and this is what Kenny Wallace is where we first started understanding. When you think of open wheel motor racing, Formula One comes to your mind, right? You will rarely see. Well, first of all, if there's any contact at all in a Formula One race, one of those 2 cars is out of the race. That's it. Like, they're out of the race. They got little winglets flying. They're done.
They broke a microchip, dude. It's over.
Yeah, they're done. And in NASCAR, we're used to seeing that contact because they've got fenders. The bodies are very solid. You can rub up against each other. That's normal. And again, there's a lot of people who appreciate it. But when you think of open wheel racing, the biggest series you can compare to is Formula One. You will never see a race like that in Formula One. You will never see that much side-to-side road course racing.
They would cry.
You might at the Barcelona Grand Prix, Spanish Grand Prix, Barcelona. You might see like 2 passes of like actual cars side by side. But this was almost every lap you had a car outbraking the other. And what's good about the Barber circuit as well, the outside of turn 5. So if you saw a lot of the moves and a lot of the rubbing in turn 5, which is the hairpin. Now the hairpin, that's a really interesting corner, and I got to give Barber the track credit for this. sometimes there's grip on that outside line. So a lot of the drivers were hanging on the outside because sometimes you can get a better run off the corner by hanging around the outside. So you see a lot, sometimes cars on the outside will be like, all right, I've been got, and I'm going to try to do the crossover. But at Barber, if you're brave enough to stay on that outside, sometimes you can get a better launch off the corner because of the way that corner tightens up. So that's why you saw so many cars trying to stay side by side on the outside. But again, if you're on the inside, guess what you can do? Just run into the other car. Now, again, I hated that. I've been wrecked like that multiple times. Devlin DiFrancesco drove me off the track, lost a bunch of spots like that because I'm trying to hang on the outside. You know, that like as one driver's always going to hate that. But IndyCar was very, I would say, when you look at the penalty structure, if you wrecked someone, like if you actually took someone out like Pato did, or Renus at the beginning, penalty. But they let everyone else race side by side and rub each other and do some beating and banging. Now, again, that if that's the standard now, we all understand that. So as long as you aren't wrecking someone, it looks like, then you're going to be free to play ball. So I think that is, now again, there's going to be drivers that don't like that at times, going to be drivers that are okay with it. But I saw a lot of great racing. I saw a lot of brave drivers. I saw a lot of just toughness out of the IndyCar chassis. I saw a lot of strategery. It had I could not stop watching the race. So that for me, you know, you could want to put Joseph and Pensky in jail. You could want to, throw a bunch of shade at, at certain drivers or teams or whatever. But realistically, we saw a great motor race. And one of the notes that I put in my phone too, I was like, we're at peak IndyCar internet right now. We got everyone talking about something, whether it's the race, whether it's the penalties,
and we're
whether
right
it's
here
Georgina. We got a lot of momentum. And you know, if you really don't understand it, I would love to maybe have a chat with you. If you want to come chat with me at Indy, be like, well, I don't think this is good, because I will explain to you why it's good. And then hopefully that'll open up your mind a little bit. I'm always trying, if I don't know about something or if I disagree with something, I like to learn about it because I want to be like, okay, why do I disagree with this? Because I would like to understand more. I'm a siphon stuff through my mind. Like I want to see what's going on.
We can hash it out over some hash browns at the Charlie Browns.
Charlie Browns, yeah, maybe a little Charlie Brown breakfast. I don't know, but it's there was a lot that went on. I even had a guy, I blocked a guy on Twitter, and then he created a new Twitter account to then send me a DM saying that imagine thinking blocking works. And I was like, it does. I just blocked that account too. So a hilarious move.
Did he come back? Did he come back for the three-peat?
No, he did not. He did not create a third Twitter account. But my favorite thing about the block button is I always win. I will always win that one because I want you to be gone forever.
I don't block. I like to mute. I like to put random words.
They're dead to me. That's it. I'm gone. That's
certain
it.
words are fun.
So yeah. So that was Barber.
It was incredible.
I could talk about it forever. Yeah.
I'm sad I didn't get to go. I'm sad I didn't get to go because I didn't get to get Scotty.
But watching on TV was great. Like
I didn't get Dixon his watching on TV was great, but I didn't get Dixon his Bass Pro Shop, and I feel bad because maybe that's why he finished 15th.
Yep, maybe that's it.
I'm gonna bring him one to the Indy 5.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to bring him a Bass Pro Shop hat. Do you feel like he would look better in lime green or neon orange?
He's got to be orange, the PNC bank machine.
I was thinking that too, but I was also thinking maybe he likes colors that aren't on his car. Maybe he's got a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe he's a magenta guy, you know?
Yeah,
Who knows? Some yellow.
So a couple other things that happened there. We had a new driver, Luca Giotto. If people aren't familiar with Luca Giotto, he came from F2. I remember him in F2, and he's racing in sports cars right now. I've never met the guy. Don't know anything about him. But he's, I guess, driving for Coyne at Barber, and you will also see him at the Indy GP. Fun fact, I sent a text to Dale Coyne on the Thursday because they still had TBA, and I said, if you ever need a driver for that 51, you just let me know.
The human crypto.
And he did not respond to me, so not surprised, but I love Dale, great guy. And there was a potential, so I two things real quick. Pietro Fittipaldi had a steering failure in practice. That was a very scary thing to see when your steering wheel stops working. I don't like that. And then Stingray Robb said on the radio that his steering broke. Now, if I looked at the replay, it just looked like he lost it. But I don't know. Sometimes when you're trying to catch it, you pull the wheel so hard that you might, misunderstand your own strength. I don't know. But I would love to know what happened, if there was a steering wheel failure on both of those, or what happened there. That's something to pay attention to.
I think that the chances are that his muscle broke character. That's what true. I'm thinking.
Muscles. He's a strong guy, Stingray. Who knows?
Stingray?
He was circulating until he wasn't.
How's he doing arm wrestling?
I don't know. That's a question we need answered.
I will challenge him.
There you go. So, and then also off track, I know, Chase, you wanted to talk about a little bit about this, but there was a big team owners meeting as well. Looked like Roger had everyone into the bus. And I'm very curious to see what happened in there. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. There were a lot of words thrown out there. Other drivers were saying Joseph was liars, Pensky was a bunch of liars.
Oh, they was trolling. They were trolling hot. Alex Below was trolling.
Zach Brown and Tony Kanaan are subtweeting, like they're out here like tweeting wild cryptic messages, which was hysterical. I don't know what he said. There was like, I'm gonna have to look it up real quick, but let me know what you think of the.
So while you're looking that up, I'm gonna say this much: like, it's good. I'm glad to hear that you've been talking with our good pal Kenneth Wallace. So I saw him quote tweet something or quote post on X. I'm trying to get better about saying tweets and posts. So
I'll just put. I'm still going to say tweets till the day I die.
On Elon's app, he quote posted and he showed all of them piling into the bus, and I'm like, Kenny, what are you talking about IndyCar? This is great. Like, it's good to see you talk about IndyCar. You're interested. He's got Michael Andretti on his show this week.
Yep, love that for our sport.
Got to catch that. Go catch Kenny Conversation. But I'll say that when I saw all those guys in that photo, it's like the only thing you can think is like, who's going in here to whine? Who's going to go in here and be the big shot? Who's going to win? I want to know who won who's that argument that day. Yeah. Look, Michael Andretti seems like he really wants to win right now, dude. He seems like he wants to win.
He's fighting. I agree.
I don't know what's going to happen, but he seems.
I found the tweets. So Zach Brown and Tony Kanaan were responding to Nathan Brown, which was a quote from Tim Cindric. And Tim Cindric's quote was, "To say we purposefully did this to get an advantage, I don't know how you come to that conclusion." Well, Tim, I know how people came to that conclusion. Unless it's what you want to believe. Now, again, there is a lot of believe this, believe that. But Zach Brown responded, a little subtweet, as they used to say, how does that saying go? I was born at night, but not last night. And then Tony said, could be I was born on a Tuesday, but not last Tuesday, boss. And it's like, okay, that's hysterical. You guys are out here quoting like, I've never heard that quote before, but you know what?
Random days
is that
of
a
the
haiku?
Week?
I don't know what that is, but
it's
that
only
might be
Tuesday.
So that was hysterical. Oh, hang on. Did we get a live ratings update, Bobby? Did you see any ratings yet? I feel like I just saw a tweet and then I skipped by it. Dang,
you got numbers?
I don't know. Let me go back to anyway. But so there was a big owners meeting. I would love to know what the
what's the tea? What's the word around town? What's the little bird saying?
I haven't heard anything from the streets yet. Okay, we have a live tweet 23 minutes ago, Bobby. We found it. Adam Stern put it out. And it's not what we want to see.
What's the number?
I don't get it.
What
so
number?
NBC and Network NBC, this is a live reaction. NBC got 763,000 viewers for Sunday's IndyCar race, down from 930,000 viewers last year. So that's not great. I will no longer. I actually can't talk about this anymore because it makes my head hurt.
It'd be the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it.
Who cares?
For me, I don't understand it. For me, I think with all the interaction that I see on Twitter, I still think going up against NASCAR is probably one of our bigger issues. I do believe that that's something that for sure is.
We just got to get them watching IndyCar. That's it.
I know, but we will never do that. Like we won't ever get like that crowd to switch, right?
Double screens.
So yeah, but that's not how that's going to work. That's too much. People are really. You got to grab their attention. You got to if they're going to watch NASCAR, they're going to watch NASCAR, and that's fine. Again, you can like that. So we just have to try to figure out a way to not go against that.
Well, that's why I think it's important that we not focus on those numbers, because let me tell you, there was a time just a couple years back that these kind of numbers, they've always been in like the millions, or either at like I think the lowest we've seen like 900 and something thousand for a NASCAR race. But NASCAR really got their spike because of Netflix this year. Formula One had their big spike. You got to think that 200,000 range of people were probably the people that were F1 Netflix watchers that were like, hey, this IndyCar looks pretty cool. Then NASCAR went to Netflix. They're like, oh, Netflix. And then they went that way.
But also, but there's NASCAR is just a bigger organization too. NASCAR's bigger. It's always going to be bigger for a long time. Yeah, but I don't think that's the only thing. I think that they do a good job promoting their product. I think they could do a good job promoting their stars.
Yeah. But that's really ramped up over the last few years, though. It hasn't always been that way. We have a lot of recency bias right now, and I feel like
but they're having a good year. So more people are watching the sport. But I literally just got this text in our group chat with a lot of different drivers. There's a lot of people who, again, like their excuses for why they don't watch IndyCar are so hollow. And so I don't like, and I try to interact with people all the time. And again, it's not their fault for not wanting to watch, but like, I don't know what it is anymore. Like I really truly struggle with this one, because I just watched one of the best road races in a very long time, like in a very long time. And you have other motor racing respected personalities that agree. Every media outlet agreed that was a great race. You got NASCAR people talking about, hey, that was a great race. So
it's starting.
If all of us are knowledgeable about our sport and about motor racing, do you not believe us? Or do people not want to agree with us?
People don't care. Hey, it's not a priority.
We know about racing. This is our entire lives. And we are now again, you could say that my opinion's biased. Guess whose opinion isn't biased? Kenny Wallace. That guy will say anything he wants. But not talking about him specifically, but the motor racing outlets, I think people in general, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, wow, that was a great race at Barber. But it's got to be just the lack of pure awareness still. And I know we sound like a broken record, but it hurts me. Honestly, it hurts my soul, because we are putting on a great show. So I don't, it really hurts me. It's frustrating, because I literally fight for this sport till the day I die. I go down I'm the only driver in the comments, trying to basically argue with people over why they should watch IndyCar, because it's a lot of the reasons they say are just flat out freaking stupid. I'm sorry for getting frustrated. I love everyone, but yeah, I don't know what it is. So again, let's not talk about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I think because we sound like broken records.
Well, I had some great things to say, but I'm going to hold them back now.
No, well, it's not even that. It's just tough to see. So again, that we should have been on. When you talk about other sports that are going on, yes, but I don't know what it is. We had one race after the other. Obviously, that's a lot more. That's a lot more people that watch than Long Beach. But to not even get close to that million number is a tough one. So again, we'll have to do some research. Well, I hope the Penske marketing folks will understand, what we have to try to do differently. Saturate the television market with TV ads. I had a couple other people say I had no idea that there was a race on. I still don't understand how. I think it's because people are they still don't understand the whole gravity of the situation.
This is our bubble, man. It's yep. We follow this stuff. We're in this stuff. The rest of the world, dude, they're trying to figure out what Kim K's up to. So it's it's just one of those deals where the more that the drivers infuse themselves into pop culture, the more that I think that that's a huge first step. Gambling, second step. There's some really big steps that could be taken that would springboard, but there's also a lot of logistics that go into
what's
those
be really
big
important,
things.
Yeah, what's going to be really important is the Indy 500 rating. I think that's going to be
that's a pulse checker.
If that number is somehow bigger, with Kyle Larson, with all this excitement, that will be like kind of a saver. Like that'll be a nice thing, like a little savior to the year. But
shouldn't be it though.
But definitely, yeah, I would say we're definitely in trouble right now. So let's try to work on this. We have so much goodness that is going on. So
yes,
why? Like, I still don't understand people's reasoning for not watching, other than just not knowing. So
just a big world.
If it's just a question of not knowing, then that's fine. We just got to get it to the people. So again, let's put that to bed. We're done. Let's move on to David Malukas, which is another sad story. Oh, my goodness. David Malukas has been released from the McLaren IndyCar team after not even doing a lap in a race situation. I feel awful for David Malukas. I feel I don't know why this was done to him. I do. Obviously, in contracts, there are ways that can people can get out of contracts. We've seen obviously Alex Palou, big contract stuff. McLaren got out of another contract. There's another now. Alex Palou, there was something going on there. Contracts not great, and then now they got rid of David Malukas. I just feel bad for him. I understand why. You know what I mean? Like his recovery's taking longer, and that sucks. I'm sure he cannot control that. And at the end of the day, that is one of the best teams on the grid. It's one of the coolest teams on the grid, right? You get so many amazing perks by being a part of that organization. And that is now gone for him. And boy, I don't know if you saw that TikTok, but there was a TikTok of poor David Malukas literally cleaning the cars after the Barber race. Like he's out there scrubbing down the rear wings. I mean, dude. Bad look. Still
he's grinding though.
That organization. Now again, I love Tony Kanaan. I love Zach Brown. A lot of those guys are great people, but that was just a tough look overall. I understand the business reasons for it. I'm curious to see what they do with that car. I think you'll see Teddy Chairs probably back in there, even though everyone thought he was a hero. Long Beach, tough day for him at Barber. That's just how racing works.
Yeah.
Like people overreact all the time to one race and this new driver. Oh my gosh, it's hard still. So he's going to have his tough times, just like his teammates had tough times. I think you'll see Callum Ilott back in that car quite often, but I don't know. I've certainly tried to ask about it, but for anyone thinking that I will be in that car at the moment, there is a 0% chance of that happening. I have communicated a little bit with them, so it doesn't look like I will be a part of that, but I will always be around in case something happens, in case every other one of their choices somehow get trapped on a cruise ship somewhere and is floating away. I don't know. If they get sent to space for some reason and no other drivers can fill in, that'll be me.
I'll just say this from the outside looking in on the whole situation. It just, that's why I asked you, like, are they stressed? Because you look at where they're finishing their races right now. Yes, Pato just got a win. That's good for them. But they've got some ground to make up, man. And so for them having a rookie driver coming in this season, it's unfortunate how it all shook out. But I'm looking at it like maybe they're thinking like, okay, he's still not back. We're this far back in the points. We can't afford to have this kind of a year being the team that we are. How are we going to move forward and as fast as possible and get to where we can, at least – I wouldn't want to believe that they're just aiming to break even on the year, but I'm going to say,
no. Yeah, they want to win.
Yeah, they want to win. They're McLaren. You are McLaren. You are one of the only teams, I think the only IndyCar team that has a brother or sister program in F1.
Oh, yeah.
You got to make that name shine, right? And so that's really the only place like I'm seeing it from. It's just business. I think that is super commendable that David's out there and he's wiping down cars and doing things, because I know a lot of my buddies that got their shot in NASCAR and the truck series and stuff, and then next week you'll see him carrying tires around. and you'll see him doing these things because you're showing your commitment to the team. Where it looks like, and I'm not going to sit here and say that they weren't committed to David. I just think it's by happenstance where McLaren is right now on the points. They just can't wait any longer. They've got to get something going. It's no hard feelings, and there's always next year.
Yeah, but what's also interesting is, like, I don't think they're going to get that going necessarily with Teddy Chairs. Like, I think Teddy Chairs is a good driver, Theo Pourchaire.
Yeah, floaters,
but
right?
It's going to take him a long time, right? Like, the rookie driver, that's going to take him a long time to get up to speed.
Well, they can't sign anybody this year, like in the middle of the season, can they?
I mean, they're going to have to fill that seat for the rest of the year. So
they're just going to get hot lapper, basically, like people just hopping in different races.
No, I don't think you'll see a variety of drivers in there. I don't think, unless they really want to get really experimental, because you've got to think that they've got to satisfy their partners' needs as well, right?
Sure.
So NTT is the main sponsor on that car, and NTT, I know, that's a very prominent. They sponsor the series, so
series sponsor,
So
a lot of data.
NTT is a great group of people. And obviously they were promised something as well. So that's a tough business thing. There's a lot more in there that I think is, it's a little bit deeper than we know. But I want to say this about David. I do not think we will, his IndyCar career is not over. You got to remember, David's family is successful, right? David, HMD, that's David's family. So like, David is going to find his way back. I believe that, his family will probably be back with a vengeance and be like, we're going to get David in somewhere. You know what I mean? And, if he doesn't just get hired by another team, which again, this sport is so lethal. David was a hot commodity. And then as soon as you're out for a few races, you're completely forgotten about, apparently, which is so sad. I've experienced it before. I get it. David and I had very similar rookie years. Boom, he goes to like McLaren. I went to Foyt, and my career ended. So that was pretty much it. But that was, he is a good driver. He has proved his worth in IndyCar. And I do believe he has a support system that will get him back. When he's healed, do I see him immediately going back to Coyne? Potentially. They don't have anyone in that car after Indy GP and Indy 500.
Yeah.
So, Coyne has an open seat. He has a good relationship there. I see him potentially filling that car. But that's the only open seat that I could see for the rest of the year. But yeah, that's my heart goes out to him. I don't know David that well, but I do, man, shout out David. Send him lots of love, because that is a tough one. And it's just, life is hard, man.
Much love, Lil D.
Life is hard. So, all right. So that's pretty much everything that's happened. I mean, 100 Days to Indy is out now, by the way, as well. I did not see the first episode because I was in California, but I have it recorded on my DVR, so I'll probably watch it this evening.
Should be streaming, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's streaming on the app as well. It's on the CW. If you haven't watched it yet, please watch it. We're going to have some folks. We've had some folks filming. I probably won't show up until a few episodes deeper into the season. But hoping to end up on that show a little bit. They've been great. They've been filming us here, which is really cool. So yeah, check out 100 Days to Indy. And man, I think real quick shout out to Jacob Abel, friend of the show. First Indy NXT win. Love that for Jacob Abel. He deserves it. Good young driver. Really, really cool to see him get a W there.
Shout out to them, by the way. They send me some shirts and stuff. Shout out to Abel Motorsports. There you go. It's a squad.
Perfect. So we covered a lot today. So let's get into our fun segment. Let's get into the 4 minutes of fun. If you like this segment, please let us know. If you don't, I don't care. So I enjoy it because I get to talk about some different things. And I took a lot of notes. For this. So would you like me to go first, Chase?
Yes, I'm ready to hear about the week.
All right. So let me start my stopwatch. Hang on. Let me start my stopwatch. Boom. All right. We got 4 minutes. We're going to have 4 minutes of fun here. So I put in my notes. There's a couple things that I randomly write down, and people want to see like Joseph in jail, which is hilarious. You guys are going crazy. I saw someone said ban the 2 car from the sport.
Joseph.
If that's your thought process, then there will be no cars left in any racing series. So that's hilarious. I went to see a great musical concert over the weekend. Deadmau5 played a 25-year retrospective show. He's been around for 25 years. And I ran into someone very random, and this will be something that I think several of the Formula One folks will appreciate. But I'm sitting here walking around to the after party, a little after area. You know what I mean? Hey, we're all going to hang out for a little bit, maybe have a wine or something like that. And I run into Ted Kravitz. So Ted Kravitz, you probably don't know who Ted Kravitz is.
Is he related to Lenny?
They're not related to Lenny Kravitz. Ted Kravitz does the Formula One pit reporting for the world broadcast. Ted Kravitz, big known Deadmau5 fan, and when I saw him, I was like, Ted, this is hysterical. Because the last time I saw Ted, we were having a couple cocktails at the Austin U.S. Grand Prix weekend, also at a Deadmau5 show. So Ted Kravitz, confirmed Deadmau5 fan, really enjoyed seeing Ted, had a brief chat with him. I was like, oh, that's right, you guys are going to Miami this weekend. Formula One's back in America. I'm sure they're going to dominate the entire world with a media tour, so we hate that. But also hilarious to run into Teddy Kravitz, not related to Lenny Kravitz.
Okay.
That was hysterical. Someone finally sent me a TikTok of the little barf bag thing that I talked about last week.
Yeah.
Remember the barf bag phone deal? Also love that. This is one thing that I got into as well. Quick 4 minutes. I started to try to play all my old Pokemon games. So I had the Pokemon Red version, the blue version, the yellow version. If someone can let me know why I can't save anymore, I would like to know why. I tried to start a new game on the yellow version, and it wouldn't let me save. So I don't know if the games are so old that I can't save data anymore, like their brains are dead.
Dang.
I'm not sure, so someone please let me know. But I ended up, I went through all my Pokemon games to try to start a new game. I just want to start a new adventure. Couldn't do it. They were not taking any save data. Tried gold version, crystal version. I got all the way up to Diamond, the Diamond edition on the DS, and I restarted my Diamond game. So I got Pokemon Diamond. I got locked in. That's for the nerds. Yeah. Big nerd city.
Yeah, I didn't even play Diamond. I stopped it. I stopped at Silver and Gold.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah. See, I got deep into the whole into the program, and so I had a great time in California. I also am excited because I have new bus neighbors. This is 4 minutes of fun. I am neighbors in the bus lot with Alex Palou and Pietro Fittipaldi. I'm now on the different side of the bus lot, apparently. So this would have been the perfect opportunity for me to put my hot tub in the grass.
Oh, yeah.
But I will not have my hot tub out there because I know that that's a bad idea. But I got new bus neighbors. Alex Palou, I texted him. I said, hey, neighbor. He said, oh, maybe you can babysit. I said, that's a funny joke. I'm not going to be doing that at all.
You're going to babysit, dude.
Nope. Heck no.
Alex, give him the child.
So yeah, we had quite a weekend. I think there were like 2 other things that I had notes about, but I might have already mentioned them in the show. So anyway, that's all I had. I have about like 15 seconds left, but those are my 4 minutes of fun, and we're gonna round it off with that. So Chase, you may begin. That we were just now getting to 4 minutes, so you can start yours if you have things to talk about on the 4 minutes. You're on.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll just go ahead and kick it off. We're just going to go in raw, straight in here. We're going to cross paths, okay? Pokemon thing. Let's start there. Very proud of my child. He won a Pokemon TCG tournament. He's playing the card game. All right.
We got the regional championships in Indianapolis this weekend, by the way.
Yeah,
the
and we have nationals in New Orleans this year.
All right, I might go to the Pokemon Regional Championships at the Indiana Convention Center this weekend.
You should
check it out.
You should go there.
Big nerd talk.
Big shout out to my son. He beat adults. He beat grown-ups. So
he beat adults,
and he had his mullet full shine, and he was that. He was kind of shit talking. I'm not gonna lie. He was doing doing a little bit of that. So got to give him that. I did tell him you got to humble yourself a little bit. You should make sure you just dab him up. Good game, and keep going. But yeah, that's kind of where our paths cross there. We're going to have to get you. You're going to have to play the card game at some point. I want you to meet me at the Bricks for a game of Pokemon TCG. I think that could be fun.
We just might have to.
So from there, A lot of things that come to mind from this past week, but one that stood out the most. I really don't like it when establishments close their doors a few minutes before their official closing time. And I want to talk about,
especially if you're hungry.
Yes. Well, I want to talk about a story. I went to a Party City. All right. If you ever go to the New Orleans Party City in Metairie, there's a woman named Trisha there. Not a fan of Trisha. Not a big fan of Trisha at all. I roll up at 7:55. I'm trying to go get some washable hair color so I can frost somebody's tips. I was trying to do a little tip frosting, and Trisha, as I was coming to the door, meets me at the door, her mouth wide open, just locking the door, staring at me in my eyes, just cold, dead stare. You had a solid
5 minutes still, huh?
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, and I just do this. I don't have a watch on, and she just looks at her wrist and just like, we're closed. And I'm like, you're not, though. You're not closed. It says right here on the door, I have 5 minutes. And she's like, sorry, we're closed. And I'm like, but you're not. You're not closed. Like, I know this for a fact.
That's
so I
tough.
argued with her. She finally turned around and left out. Not a big fan of Trisha. So I was really upset about that. So if you run an establishment and you don't close for like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, just don't close. Just don't lock the door and don't stare at someone in their eyes.
There might be that one person looking to frost tips still, that one person.
Yeah, so I had to go to Target. I ended up getting it. Fortunately, Target price matches, because like, when am I ever going to go buy this? You know? So it was a very cool, very neat experience. I will say, not doing it again, but it was an experience. So that happened this past weekend. And then another thing that really kind of popped into my mind, something that I've got going on in my house right now. It has to do with DIY projects. Decks,
DIY.
Decks and porches. Just wanna say this much: they got these non-slip things now, you know, for like desks and chairs. I think they've been making them since like the 1918s. I got a little water on the back porch. I was trying to clean it off, you know, at the house, and I was trying to, you know, get it ready for summertime. I'm gonna do a little bit of grill. I'm a big grill guy. I cook the best steak in the South. It's a guarantee. All right. I'm gonna bring my steaks up to Indy. I'm gonna cook steaks for us.
Perfect.
So, I very confident in that. But I had this old table, right, with my grill.
Yep.
All right, we're right there, and I sprayed it down. And I slipped a little bit. Well, when I slipped, the table was not strong enough. Kind of was like the arm, like Stingray Rob's arms when he was trying to turn and the wheel broke. And my grill fell off of my table and it broke.
No.
I broke my pellet grill this past weekend.
Dang.
And it could have been prevented.
Grill. R.I.P. to Georgina and the grill. That's tough.
Pellet grill.
4 minutes.
Tough.
Yeah. That is our 4 minutes of fun segment brought to you by the four-time Indy 500 champions. We like to have a good time with that. I think there were a couple other things that I forgot to say, but we had a great time.
It was good.
So anyway, this has been a long show, and we appreciate everyone, but we also have the winner of this most recent race, Scott McLaughlin. He is going to be a part of our show, and we're very, very thankful for that. So with that, we can go ahead and get to our interview with the winner from Barber, Alabama, Scott McLaughlin. We are very lucky, folks, this week to have a friend of the show on, a person who you've seen before. But as I've discovered over the weekend, we might have a lot of new listeners because people just discovered that we had a show after I put out a YouTube video talking about a certain situation that happened last week that seemed to have a lot of folks talk about it. But we want to talk about an incredible motor race that happened over the weekend that Scott McLaughlin made everyone look silly at because he was faster than everyone by about 1 million miles, it seems. Scott, welcome to the show. We appreciate you. Congrats on a big win.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Chase. Proud. That was a great win. We had a lot of pace, man, and just used it, which was nice. You know, as you understand, you know, when you don't save fuel, there's some of the funnest races you can do, you know, most fun races. So I was just laying the gauntlet down for a lot of the laps, and it was pretty physical, but it was a blast too.
Yeah, I want to get right into that too, because Barber is a tough place, man, physically, but strategically as well. You always see such a separation between those two strategies, right? Depending on when the yellow falls, there's a lot of fuel saving, or there's like just maximum attack all the time. We obviously know that more fun is attacking all the time. And when you guys pitted, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh no, because even the announcers were like, oh well, there goes Scotty's day. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, wait a second, I don't think this is over yet, because those other guys had to make a wild number. But what did that feel like? Because you're obviously, tearing off into the future. You're leading by a long time, and then boom, you're stuck in the thick of it. And every single person was hitting everyone the entire day. But I think your car was probably the cleanest one. So what did you think of that situation?
Yeah, it was interesting because even when we pitted, I never thought once that we were out of it. I genuinely thought like we were still in the game if like something happened, or these guys, like you said, they had to make a big number regardless. Yeah. And then eventually I was going to get some clear air when they pitted. They were going to have to pit at some point, and then give us clear track. So, I knew all I had to do was stay in front of Will. That's why I think me and him had a really ding-dong battle, and he got it as well, because I knew if things sort of turned, back our way, that was basically the battle for the lead. So, and then, like you said, you have the wild card of being back in dirty air and hadn't been there the whole race, and just readjusting to that. Took some time, but like I said, we had so much pace from the car perspective, and that's what I was super proud about, and we just sort of used it and just got it done. But yeah, most like physical, mental, like intense. Even both me and Will said after the race, like in the podium, like that was just intense. Like it was just you just smashing out like big laps, and then a fuel numbers when you needed to, and it was full on.
Yeah, it was everything about that made it a fantastic IndyCar. It's one of my favorite road races I've watched in a very long time. But that restart, right, when you guys had pitted, and both you and Will are starting deep in the pack, they had a great view because they were using both of your onboards. Like it was like a triple screen. Yeah. And you got like a big moment out of two. And like Will also then had a big moment. I'm like, these guys are absolutely at war with their vehicles here on brand new tires. But did you think the racing intensity was at a higher level than you've seen at Barber? Because like, man, there was a lot of contact, but like a lot of people just moving everyone out of the way. And that is annoying if you're the one that gets moved. But, I mean, even Joseph, your teammate had a lot of comings together with different folks.
Yeah, I think the intensity's higher because these tires are a lot harder now. So, to make your moves, it's a little difficult because the degradation isn't there. Obviously, these tires, and you guys have probably explained this, these were made for the hybrid car. So I'm thinking we're going to see with a heavier car, we're going to see more degradation. But that's why at a place like Barber, where there's not too much tire deg, like people were aggressive and people were just using people up, and like that's a part of it. But we came out on brand new reds, and obviously the people in front of us had about sort of 10, 12 lap old reds, and like their pace was a lot slower. So it was very hard to position yourself in the right spots to not defend from Will, but try and pass these people and not get hurt by that as well. So it was a chess game, man. Like I said, it was so mental and so intense. But that blast, man, it was awesome.
So the tire thing is interesting that you mentioned, because you're going through that stint and you're trapped behind. I forget who you were trapped behind. It was Linus or someone else. And I'm like, wait a second. I think Scott's gonna maybe look, because you're putting a bunch of wheel into this freaking thing. You're trying to make that move on him, and I'm like, maybe the tires are gone. Maybe after this, oh no. But then, as soon as you got clear track, you set fastest lap of the race, and I was like, okay, these tires really are different this year. Like this is definitely something that you could just, if you wanted more out of them, it looked like you could have got more out of it.
Yeah, it was in that regard. It's fun, like that. Like as soon as we got the opportunity to like get that clear air, like Linus we were sort of around like 68 and there. I knew that I had a little bit more speed. Once we got clear track, I was like, oh wow, this is crazy, and just a little bit of overtake, and was like just like smashing it, and it was 67-7. I think I did like a 7-7-7, like I did 4 7s in a row, and it was like I said after the race, it was one of the most fun like stints that I've had for a very long time, just from a consistency level and just driving a car that felt so good. So I was very lucky.
Oh man, yeah. I tell you what, that meat wagon, it did look pretty strong. I'm not gonna lie. Like goodness gracious, Chase. Yeah. So Chase, go ahead. I'll let you get in here.
What's up, Scotty Mac? It's been a minute. Congrats on the dub. And I gotta say, this is your second win, twice now in a row at Barber. Was there for the first one that you got? That was a great time. Now you hear, what is it? You're talking about strategy, talk about, just thinking, like, what is it that just makes you so good here at Barber? Is it the strategy component, or is it just, you just rip these corners better than everybody else, and that's just how it goes?
That's interesting. Like, I think when I first came to IndyCar, it was probably one of the tracks, and Connor would probably agree, like, it's such a tough track to, like, get your confidence up. One, the power steering, no power steering, so you like the steering forces are huge. So having the confidence to go through fast corners with the steering binding up, but once you find like a setup, like you feel like you've got, like it's unreal. So I feel like we've run like the last 3 years a very similar setup, and I just know it and I trust it, and we just make it slightly better and better and better, and I just got the confidence around there. But I've always enjoyed like very high speed corners, flowing tracks. It's just something that I've really enjoyed throughout my career. Even in supercars, I was very much like the same. I said that Barber reminds me of a track in Australia called Phillip Island, which is a motorbike track as well. And that's I was always reasonably good there too.
Another reason I was wanting to know as well is because we all know that you're an avid golfer, big golf fan. They call it the Augusta of motorsports. Is this your Masters?
No, this is. It just doesn't come with the green jacket and maybe like the $4 million in prize money. But it's certainly an awesome place. I mean, they always put on an amazing event. I mean, we had the biggest crowd we've had there since 2010. The people were so passionate. Everyone in Alabama seemed really, really nice as well. There's lots of camping, lots of family time. There was a heap of Australians and Kiwis there too, which was wild. I couldn't believe that. It was really cool. I don't know, I just love it.
Yeah.
When if you got to look back at all on the race, were there any, because like me, I hate watching, but I'm forced to watch, and I enjoyed what I watched. I'm an IndyCar fan, right? So like when I watched what was going on, it got me jazzed up. Were there clips that you saw in the race where you're like, dang, I'm blown away that guy did that? Or like, was it exciting for you to look back and be like, dang, that's my racing series. Like, that looks sweet. There were a couple great moves, great battles.
Yeah, I mean, Pato had everything but the pace car, so that was interesting. And
that's also, I said the part time with the lottery. Yeah.
There's a bit going on. Obviously Dixon made a mistake. You don't see that too often. And then everyone just using the right. I tell you that boy's brave. He's a brave. He threw a couple of big moves.
Say that again. Who was that? You went out there briefly. Which guy did you say is brave?
Sorry. Rasmussen. I thought Rasmussen. Yeah. It was pretty impressive. So
it didn't work out.
I'm just going through Detroit traffic right now.
Yeah, it's all right.
Just out there in the D, dude. Them cell bars, they hard to come by.
It was a great win, obviously, and I think. We talked a little bit about this, but I don't know if you saw, but Denny Hamlin called his shot on his show last week. Denny Hamlin said he was going to win Dover. Now, I don't know, we had a private conversation, and you called your shot. I would like to let people know, to me. So you had a lot of confidence going in here. I just want to say I respect that move, and I was like, you know what, Scott? I felt like there was there was a lot going on, right? And we'll maybe talk a little bit about that, but you guys were confident. You and the Thirsty Threes team, I tell you what, you guys worked really well together. You went from 29th in the points. Now, look, I was only about 4 spots behind you at that point. No big deal. We were pretty close. And you're now back in, essentially almost in the game. Like, one win can really bring you back. How does that feel moving forward with your boys? Because that's a good group there.
Yeah. Like, a couple of the guys on my team, like they're good people, and Benny Bretzman, we just were really comfortable and confident of like the package we had going to Barber. As I said to you guys before, like it's one of my favorite tracks. I've won there before. There's no reason why we couldn't be right there again. Look, super proud of everything. Obviously, elephant in the room, it was a pretty wild week, and unfortunately it was just how it is. We accepted all that. We moved on as much as we could. But obviously it's a big thing when your reputation gets tested or whatever, but the best thing you can do is just do your talking on the track as best you can. And I felt like we just really got up on the horse and just got going again. And, you're going to have people that disagree with whatever happened, but I guess I'm always going to be proud to drive for Team Penske. I know what we stand for. But one thing it's great that I always think it's great for the sport when you have passion, you have arguments, you have people that boo you, cheer for you, whatever. At the end of the day, that means they care about the sport, they care about you, and that's what's really, out of all this, it's been up and down, but it's a talking point for the sport, and it works for everyone, right?
Yeah. So we did a whole show today. There was a lot of chatter. I mean, I thought people were going to try to execute me, and I wasn't even involved in this thing. I was just trying to present to people what the rules were with push to pass and stuff like that. And now, again, you're a very good friend of mine. I know it's probably annoying to talk about, difficult to talk about, but this was a big deal, right? And I wouldn't be having a show if I wouldn't at least ask a little bit about, when you guys look back on the week and how it all went down. I assume as a driver, there was definitely a little bit of a surprise for you, oh wow, because you put out a statement and understood what you did, understood what Joseph did. Obviously, what is there anything else that you can let people know, hey, or did you chat with Joseph at all a little about this, or because obviously he had that wild presser which was very emotional. But is there anything else that you want to say to the fans of our sport? Because again, it's very easy to hate successful people, right? You guys are successful. You drive for one of the best teams in the sport. Well, that's clear, right? Mm-hmm. But you guys, there's a reason why you're so successful. Is because you all want to win. So, is there anything else you can tell people about? Hey, this is because it's a tough situation, man. It sucks. And there's rules that were broken, right? But there's now better times ahead, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I fully respect. I know you're one of my good friends, but at the end of the day, you've got a job to do as well, and you and Chase and everyone. We're not. I'm not mad for you asking the question. I think it's important that we get this dialogue out there. But I guess for like I said before, our integrity and reputation was put into question, and that's something that I don't take lightly. And at the end of the day, it's a people's game, and all we can say is it was a simple mistake. I'll back my team to the tilt. It's one of those deals that I didn't find out, as I said in a number of my statements. In my statement, I didn't find out till Tuesday after Long Beach that I had to even push the button at St. Pete. It was just something that I had no recollection of doing, unfortunately, but I had done it. It was black and white, and IndyCar have to clamp down on the rules. They have to penalize us, and I fully respected that. And I think that's why I guess I was even more determined on at Barber. I just accepted the penalty. It is what it is. We can't do anything about it. A mistake was made. We move on. And the best way you can do that as a leader of my team and whatnot is just don't get on with it. You just got to rally the troops and just get going. And it's how you react to negative situations, how you want people to see you in the positive situations as well. So it's really important that, I showed face for the team and we just focus forward and we'll do that for the rest of the season. And, I fully believe we're still in this championship. I fully believe we can still win it. But like I said, it's going to take time for people to accept what our statements, accept how we go about a business or whatever. And I respect that. I respect it, and I think the whole team does. And I just sincerely do. We move forward, and just it was a tough situation. Definitely one of the toughest weekends in a long time for me. Well, weeks.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's just like that, and I have tried to. Now, again, I would never justify anything, right? Because if I'm out on the track too, and I found out someone had a performance advantage over me, I would be very upset, as I think anyone would be, right? But I also told people, and I tried to mention this, but like in professional sports, you're always at the limit of what you can do. And you know what? Mm-hmm. There have been many times in both the NFL, the MLB, NASCAR, Formula One, people have broken the rules. They've gone beyond the limit. Now, again, this is not a justification, right? It's not but we are playing at a level where your life is on the line. You're putting everything into this. The team puts everything into it. And that's just how professional sports work. But I'm glad you guys accepted the penalty. This was done quickly, I believe, and it was done, I would say, effectively. It's a very big penalty. Like, that's a tough one, dude. You were down, you had 0 points, essentially, right? Like, so That's a big penalty. And so was there, I just want to talk about a little bit the team vibe that weekend. Obviously, very fresh. Our fans, I think, are great fans that show up there, right? But was there a bit of a different vibe? Joseph, I don't know what was, did you talk to Joseph much about it all, or is it just very much business?
No, it was very transparent, everything like that. Obviously, like I said before, it was the elephant in the room, but I think I was really proud of just how we just, as the three of us and the 3 cars, we just, we put our heads down and really knuckled down and that's like all I can say. Nothing. We understand who we work for. It's not take the personal side out of it. We're representing so many partners of the sport, whether it's just IndyCar, Team Penske, the 75,000 people 75,000 people that work for Team Penske all over the world. Like it's a lot more than just the 3 of us drivers, and we know that, and we just got on with the job. But I like I said, I have no recollection of pushing the button. I gained no time. I didn't pass a car, but it's just I did it, and you accept it, and you move on, and that's all we can say. Like I said, I respect everyone's opinion, and we'll just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to more fun things. Did you see that lady fall from the bridge? Like, I know you got a picture with her, but I could not believe when I saw Georgina falling from the thing. Could that have caused the yellow that maybe like ruined a race? Like, that was something I was worried about.
I was mad. I was like, you're kidding me. Like Georgina's going to ruin my race for me. And the first off, I couldn't believe that was that. Like, you imagine driving past that thing in 180 mile an hour and you're thinking like, what is that a person, or is that like just a fake person? And we all know, we see her when we drive past her. It's just an eccentric sort of artistic thing about Barber Motorsport Park, which we all love. But yeah, it was wild. I remember going on the radio, but then I think Stingray had hit the fence, so thankfully the yellow was more for that. But
we wouldn't turn
Georgina. I think and it was certainly one of the funniest things. When I look back at the replay, I genuinely laughed when it came down, and Hinch and Townsend's reaction were classic.
Priceless.
Yeah. It was the parallel, just a stick and flop. The stick and flop was just all time.
And then the wrist coming off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know.
What was it like sitting by it? What was it like sitting by it? You got a nice little pose? I heard that you got up fast after that. Why?
I was well, I just
a little creepy.
There's a lot of suggestions people could make about me and Dom, so I got off quick.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
No. Yeah. No, but look, RIP to Georgina, but she'll be back strong.
Yeah. Chase, go ahead.
Just a hand. Luckily, no internal organs in the hand.
She's in LA getting plastic surgery right now, I believe.
That's it, dude. 90210 all day. I'm going to move away. I know we've been talking a little bit about buttons. I want to talk about another button that you've pressed already. October. You're going to be a dad. You press the dad button, dude. I think that is so exciting. You're joining me on the journey. It's a great journey. Being a dad is a fantastic. I have a 9-year-old boy at home. He's a hoss now, but you got a baby girl coming in October 24. How is the adjustments been? How is the butterflies, anticipation, the questions? What's going on at the house?
When you talk about it, then it's all right. Yeah, it's wild. I think I'm just super excited. I mean, when Carly told me for the first time, I completely pooped my pants. I was just super nervous about it. But I think I can't wait to be a girl dad, dude. Like, I'm so excited to hang out and to have it happen at the end of the season is kind of perfect timing for us. Fingers crossed it all goes well. I can spend 6 months of just being a dad and changing diapers and doing things. I mean, I'll probably regret saying that, but I'm very, very excited for what's ahead. And obviously, you both know my wife, like, she's a great chick, and we're so excited for the future. She's going to be a great mom. I always said she was born to be a mom, and just is going to be such a good one at that. So, but like, racing's, everyone's saying, oh, you're going to get her a cart when she's born or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm going to consider her golf clubs, man, or tennis rackets.
Yeah.
We're going to go play some golf and have some fun. Whatever she wants to do.
If Carly can take care of you after a night on the town and be a night celebrating the Indy 500, she can absolutely take care of a child. So I think that's one thing that is for sure.
If I could be a dad of a 9-year-old, you got this.
Yeah. No, she's got it. You got it. Everyone's got it. I love it. One more question before we let you go. We know you got a busy day today, and we appreciate you being here. Obviously, we love having the winners on after every week. But give us a quick month of May outlook. We've obviously got to May. I think you guys, in my anticipation, as a group, I believe I've already predicted Penske's going to lock out the front row. But I believe you guys are looking quite speedy. You got a lot of good people over there. What's the month of May outlook for you guys?
Look, let's not count our chickens yet, but I think our car feels good, and it felt good at the open test, but up to the limited running we got. But definitely probably the most comfortable, or at least the most confident with the car speed I've felt going into the month of May this year. So super excited, man, and just can't wait to get back to the May. As you know, it's the best part of the year for us. There's nothing like it. Indianapolis is just incredible that time of year, and I love being a resident for a month in May.
I am also excited. I am very much sick of not circulating the track, so I can't wait to join you guys out there. Scott, we appreciate you. Tough. There's been a lot of, just stuff thrown at you guys, which I understand. I do. And you're usually great on the internet, and you interact with a lot of folks, but I know it's probably, that's a tough time. So we appreciate you coming on here and interacting with us. And again, can't wait for May. It's here. We're very excited. We appreciate you. And obviously, good luck at the Indy GP. We might be talking to you after that one, too. Who knows?
We're going to rip it up.
Hey, that'd be a great idea. But regardless, we'll be having a beer. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
There you go. All right. Scott McLaughlin, thank you. All right, folks. We appreciate having Scott on. Interestingly timed interview, of course. A lot went on last week. Appreciate him chatting with us. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks at the Indy GP. Chase, let's get to wrap up our show. First of all, I want to say to all those that discovered us on YouTube, we thank you. To all those folks who are listening on podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, whatever it is, been looking at what's going on there ratings wise. We appreciate you guys. As always, let us know what you think. I find it wild sometimes how people react to things, but that's the freedom of the world. You can like whatever you want to like. Great to be have an audience to listen to. But let's get to an incredible segment we like to call the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who will make up the field?
All right, so this week on the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week, I went more recent. I went to the 1988 Indy 500, won by Rick Mears, who is one of the 4-time Indy 500 champions that we like to have 4 minutes of fun for. Rick Mears won this race. When you look at this race, you see many, many names who are not random Indy 500 Drivers of the Week. But I'm going to go with someone now. I do know this name, but let's just give him some credit because maybe some don't know. Maybe we got some new listeners. The 24th place finisher in 1988 is Steve Chassis. Steve Chassis is the 24th place finisher. Now, Steve was born in Massachusetts, a Brockton, Massachusetts man. raced in 9 different seasons. He did a lot, 44 career starts. So that means definitely not full time for all those 9 seasons. But had a lot of interesting attempts at the Indy 500. When I look at the amount of times Steve tried to qualify for the race, boy, it's wild. So he tried in 1981, did not qualify. Tried in 1982, crashed in practice. First time he made the race was 1983, finished 11th, solid day for his first race. And when I look through 1984, qualifying crash, 1985, failed to qualify. That's kind of wild. 1986, failed to qualify. And then 87 and 88 were 2 other races he finally made. He finished 25th, 24th. And then again, tried again in 1989 and 90, but 2 races where he did not qualify again. So that's wild. Tried to qualify for a lot of races, only made 3. So this race is so difficult to make. And he, boy, I tell you what, he tried a lot. So he worked for ESPN, commentating on Thursday Night Thunder, USAC events. Pretty interesting. USAC guy as well. Hoosier 100. So yeah, Steve Chassis was also, shout out, 1st Cavalry Division during the Vietnam War. So a veteran. Appreciate Steve's service to the country. Love that. He was awarded the Soldier's Medal for his actions during a helicopter rescue. How about that?
That's a guy right there.
That's our guy. That's American hero.
He's a trier. Steve's a trier, dude. I'm going to tell you. They told him if at first you don't succeed, try again. He took that to heart. He ran with it.
Yeah, good for Steve. So we learned a little bit about Steve Chassis today. Looks like he's still alive, too. So good for Steve for being alive. And if not, yikes. That's a bad call by me. So, yeah, anyways, so there's our random Indy 500 Driver of the Week segment. Really appreciate everyone supporting this show. I appreciate those. Also, just a quick shout out again. I know I said this on last week, but shout out to those in Long Beach who got the stickers, who asked me for the stickers of the show. We appreciate you guys listening. There were a lot of yikes moments from the Barber race. You're like, oh boy, yikes! Couple teams struggling, a lot of things happening. But it was a great motor race. Still have a lot of questions about our ratings. We now have a week off. We have no race this coming weekend. We will then have the Indy GP, which you will see me at. I will be out there driving the 2-seater. So I cannot wait to get to the Indianapolis 500. We are in May, or essentially almost in May today. So very excited about the future. It's going to be a great month. Although we are going through a lot, and although the ratings are truly criminal, it hurts my mind because I don't understand. It's just, I don't know.
We're not going to talk about it anymore.
I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it literally makes me want to force my skull through the drywall, which I'm sure some of the people that I interacted with on Twitter would like to see. But anyway, we appreciate you folks, though, for giving us a chance, for giving this show a chance, for giving Chase a chance to learn about IndyCar, become more and more educated every day. He's doing his research. He's learning. He's watching a great race.
I'm getting there.
He's live tweeting it. Give us a chance. We will see you next week. My voice cracked on Speed Street. It's going to be a great time, I promise. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.